Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's get on with creating the health bar. So, we're going to try to make is basically a health bar that has kind of that blue top that you saw and the green on the bottom and sort of sliding over a transparent background. First, we're going to add a new canvas. So when we're working with building UI elements and that, the best thing to do is switch over to 2D mode because then we can kind of see a little bit better what's going on with the UI, and then we can easily just flop back to 3D mode after that. So here I am in 2D view right there. Alright, so now that I've got that, I'm going to add the new canvas to the scene. We're going to go up to Game Object UI, Canvas, and we've got, now it's just called Canvas. I'm going to rename this to Screen Space Camera Canvas. Because basically that's for our screen space for our camera. So we want to update its render mode to screen space camera instead of overlay. This is going to allow us to get the effect that we want. So if I click on that, then go to 2D, I can see the canvas. So a couple things to note. The bottom left corner of the canvas is in the scene starts at the position of the top element of the project hierarchy. So the canvas is not actually linked to it. So position doesn't currently matter because it's not linked to the world space. And the size of that canvas is actually going to fluctuate based on the actual screen size. And we'll talk about that in future labs. I'd actually like to do one more GUI tutorial after this entire one that talks a little bit about resolution sizes and how to change resolution based on different devices, which I think is really important for the apps class. So we added an event system also to the scene. This was added by the custom package that was brought in, and so we're going to want to keep in mind that that's there, and we'll do something with that later. So first off, we're going to add a panel to the canvas. There's our panel. It goes ahead and makes a huge panel. We're going to call this Health UI panel. So we want this to go into the bottom right of the HUD. Something like that, a little bit offset. And we can change the source image to from background light over to HUD base. This is the, let's see, I want to make sure I get the right one. It's the PSD, I think that's the Targa. Yeah. I want to actually take the PSD. And then we've got our background, at least for now. And we'll mess with that a little bit more as we go. So we're going to go ahead and right click on the Health UI panel. So right clicking on panel, we're going to say UI slider. This gives us a little slider in there. We can go ahead and delete the handle slide area. Handle slide area is underneath slider, so we can delete that. We don't need it. Next, we're going to select slider and the target graphic. We're going to set the target graphic to the slider's fill game object, which is fill. So what that's going to do is it's going to fill using the target graphic image called fill. And we're going to click on the handle rec property and hit delete. We don't need a handle rec property either. Actually, there's none listed, so that's fine. I'm also going to click on the anchor presets of the slider. So next we're going to bring in the slider a little bit. And we're going to change the background game object. Just right here. Source image should be slider top. And there we go. So let's give this a little bit of a chunkier look to it. Move it up a little bit, maybe two. That looks pretty good. We also have to select the fill game object and go to source image for that. Set this to slider bar top sprite. Just save the scene here quick. Okay, so now we're going to select fill game object and we're going to alter the rect transform to dock with its parent size. Oh, actually, I forgot to set the anchor to stretch. I'll set that to stretch here. So yeah, just you can, to set that anchor, by the way, you can alt click on that and that's where you go to anchor presets, stretch. Oops, accidentally duplicated. There. Okay, so as long as our anchors are set at grayed out, it means it's taking the anchor from the parent, which is what we want. We're also going to change the fill color here. Oops, we're seeing that So a good color to pick that I found is 244, 255. Oops. 255. Set it to, we want to, actually instead of doing that, I'm just going to set it to like sort of a darker blue. Something like that looks good. 1751, 71, 255. I'm going to select fill area game object. We need to resize this so it covers the bottom, the bar portion of the slider background image. So let's go in on that. And this actually looks like it's, I gotta fix that. It's a little bit off-centered. We want it to be roughly right in line with it. And we've got fill area. These are these anchor points. Fill area. Let's just set those to be a little bit larger. That should be fine. Oops. Okay, so saving that. So I've kind of modified things a little bit just by doing some shifting around of the image and whatnot. And just to give you a kind of a preview of this. So rect transform is both set to stretch. Anchors min 0, max 1, 1. So that's a modification I made. Slider top is shown here. Fill area, I changed the color a little bit to kind of like a bright blue. You can kind of see how that moves with it there. Oops. So that's what we should end up with. The next thing is pretty easy to do. This, because of the way we created this, we can pretty easily just take slider and copy it and paste it into our Health UI panel. And obviously we want to replace the sprites. Well, first we're going to move it down somewhere around there. So we got to replace the top and bottom sprites. So slider top becomes slider bottom. Fill becomes source image slider bar bottom. Color, we're going to change this here to green, like a green. Oh, my fill is off now, apparently. It's easily fixed. And there we go. So if we were to play this right now, we would get a fairly flat looking scene. So we're going to create a new camera in the scene. See, what we don't want is we don't want it to look like this. That looks pretty flat still. We want it to kind of be angled. So we're going to go ahead and angle that. To do so, we go to Create Camera. Call it GUI Camera. GUI Camera. So now our game view is pretty much vanished. That's because of the new camera that we create and the main camera are now attached to the ship, both competing to draw the same render health, and they're both at depth 0. So that's going to cause problems. GUI camera right here. Ends up being at the bottom, so it wins. But that's not what we want. So we want to set layering. So we're going to set the layer property to UI. This should be a UI layer camera. And set the clear flags to don't clear, so that doesn't clear anything drawn before it. Field of view should be about 100. And culling mask property should be UI. Oh, it's still flat, so we need to do some more work. Well, since we already made this in 3D, it's pretty easy to fix this. We can just expand our screen space camera canvas object in the hierarchy. We can select the health UI panel, and we can set our rect transform rotation to something like -10. Or actually make that +10. I was inverting this. +10. We also go to the scene view to make a minor change to the display of the health UI panel. If we want, we can change this to an even more dramatic thing to make sure we're seeing something change here. So for example, here I have it a little more extreme. It's 16. Make sure you've got the following set. Don't clear UI projections perspective. That's an important one to set. Projection is also important to set as perspective, so it gives us this. Notice that as I change this, it actually goes flat again, so we want to fix that. So that's basically what I've got for now. I've kind of gone a little bit ahead in this tutorial, so mine has the jets on the spaceship showing, but for you, you won't have that. So other than that, you should have this, and it should sort of respond to you, and we should be good to go. So that is it for this video. The next up, we're going to create that dialogue that you saw where the girl is talking to him saying his ship is about to be destroyed. So that should be fun. So that's it for now. I will see you in the next video.